All right, I am back. This is new. This is weird after a 2 week hiatus. How have things been while I was away?
Really the same. There hasn't been really too much. Uh, Skippy and Jarrett haven't been up to their usual antics. I think they finally realized that the nicknames aren't going to stop, so they've stopped. Good. I don't want to hear them anymore.
Yeah, no, it's a good call. I mean, it's either they need to nix it on their own, or we need to, nip that in the bud. Because if I have to hear J Money one more time, I might start inhaling through my forehead.
I would agree. Same with Skip Meister. I'm done with it.
Yeah, Skip Meister also has like connotations. I don't know. Meister just seems kind of like. I feel like some Eastern
Kind of
Europeans
weird.
getting mad about that.
Yeah, because their demographic reaches that far.
One guy out there sitting in the middle of like Siberia has us coming in on just like, oh no, we'll kill those American dogs.
With his cigar hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah, cigar in one hand, rifle in the other, POWs nearby.
Bottle of vodka
Yeah,
sitting on the table.
he was busy pledging death to some like Ukrainian farmer that stole his tank, and then now he's getting mad about us making fun of him on the internet.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
So I guess, do we want to talk about? And I mean, we could be like in non-spoiler sense, even though I know by the time this goes up, it'll be like a week and a half from its release. Do we want to talk Deadpool Wolverine since we've seen it
It'll
now?
it'll be a week and a day. It won't even be a week and a half.
No, it
So it's
came out
Saturday.
like
Friday.
4 days ago, right?
It came out Friday.
Yeah, and this will come out Saturday. It's
A week
basically
and
a
a
week.
day.
Yeah,
It was great. It was good. Enough said.
great movie. Go see it. I mean, anyone who's going to see it is going to have seen it in the first handful of days anyway. You launched during a weekend or debuted, opened during a weekend. You have a week, it's summer. Most people are going to go see it, but definitely do. My non-spoiler review would be it manages to balance two really big characters very successfully. I thought it was going to be very like lopsided one way or the other with the focus. Handles both characters really well, and I actually ended up I didn't love like it's not like a top 10 villain for me, but the villain actually managed to be interesting and kind of fun to watch. When going into it, I was kind of thinking like that was going to be like a low point of the movie, but it was good.
Yeah, and kind of being with Marvel. Uh as everyone's probably seen and have has been filled on their feed these last couple of days. We're getting a major player back. Well, we're getting a major actor. His
Yeah.
character's not coming back. He's coming back to play a different big character.
Well, I think technically you were right the first time, right? Because isn't it like a multiversal Stark? I don't know. They made it sound like it was the same guy, but
RDJ is coming back. He's
yeah.
playing Doctor Doom. And that's not a spoiler. That was broadcasted everywhere when the Russos were like, "We're doing Avengers Doomsday." They're here. He's here. Uh, Josh Brolin's apparently coming back too. So maybe we get a Doctor Doom versus Thanos interaction.
I hope not.
There's a chance.
I just, I mean, because I mean, also, I mean, for that, I mean, it could be Cable, as well.
That's true.
Like, I don't really want either of them. I'm not like a big Cable fan. Thanos, I think you've had your run. Um, I kind of want to leave that book ended and just kind of whatever. Marvel doesn't though, because yeah, they went back to the well with the Russo brothers, which I'm not saying is the wrong call because they've delivered, I believe, nothing but great hits. They did like Captain America 2 and 3, Infinity War, Endgame. I want to say there was a fifth movie in their contract, but I can't remember
They wanted to
what it
do
would have been.
Secret Invasion, but I think they wanted to do it as a movie and not the show.
Hmm, that
Right?
could have
Because that
been
was
it.
the show.
Yeah, Secret
Okay.
Invasion was the awful show about Nick Fury and the Skrull guy that I don't care about because I don't care about the Skrulls.
Yeah, I completely forgot. I haven't watched it. Completely forgot it even existed. It was a secret to me. That's how
Yeah,
good Secret Invasion was. It was a secret to me.
yeah, they're like, well, we'll ride on the coattails of going, well, we have Sam Jackson, who is a phenomenal actor. the guy whose name eludes me, who played the main Skrull. I think he's a fun actor. He's the guy who played Director Krennic in Rogue One, and I love that movie, and I thought he was good in that. But um, and then they had Amelia Clark from Game of Thrones fame, and nothing in that show was good.
Don't forget her role in Solo. I forget what character she even played, but she was in Solo.
Yeah, she was like the girlfriend that's like, actually, I'm with Crimson Dawn, dun dun dun. And I'm like, oh, spoiler from that movie that came out 10 years ago, and most people didn't care for overall. I didn't mind it, but
they did it. They didn't watch it because of a boycott, because Disney was doing something bad at the time. I don't remember what. But
I thought they were just mad that it was like a new actor playing Han Solo, and they didn't like that, even though there was no way you were going to like deep fake Harrison Ford for an hour and a half and make that remotely convincing.
Come on, look at his hunchback. There's no CGI that could fix that. No, I swear they were boycotting something from Disney, and they're like, we're just not going to watch it.
I don't know. I've come to expect less from Disney Star Wars, and even less from the Disney like the fan base of Star Wars at this point. I don't know who I despise more, like the diehard people on one side or the corporate studio on the other.
I don't know. I want good stuff, but it's kind of hard when Disney and Marvel are owned by the same people.
Right. And you can't have your like major productions like recently we saw Acolyte wrapped. I believe I'm the only one who actually manages to stomach through that just to prove a point. That show, you can't have your main actress going on like a campaign trail and marketing, storm where she's talking about the whole purpose of the show, like the main core ideals was alienating a certain portion of their audience. That never goes well, especially when they were talking about the portion that they were talking about. I would argue is probably the commanding majority, most vocal component of the fan base, which would be, like white people. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's whatever, but literally she was going on with is it Trevor Noah?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, and she was going on about like, oh, the whole intention was to make white people cry or white guys cry, one or the other. And it's like, I would never make a show with the mindset of being divisive in like how it's supposed to be received by certain people. And like this is where I feel like I don't want to sound like the people who are getting mad about Barbie and that they were saying that like Barbie was making like all men look bad, where it's like you actually didn't watch the movie if that was your takeaway. Like literally the movie goes out of its way to be like, these are like, this is like a reality that women face, but men also have this sort of treatment too. It's like it felt actually very like gender neutral in terms of premise. And it was actually very fun to watch. I actually really enjoyed Barbie a lot. And this show, I'm like, I just didn't enjoy it mainly because your writing sucks. And the like last episode or next last episode had like a 30-minute like Matrix slow motion like midair fight, and that was horrible to watch. But I don't know.
Going back to Acolyte, like they even had the main character from Squid Game too, because he's like apparently was like a huge Star Wars fan too.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of cool to see him in that, although I haven't watched it. It was cool to see him in it. Just too bad the show just wasn't well received.
Yeah, it just like in like their whole marketing push, I will say they marketed a character. I'm gonna spoil Acolyte here because it's from the first episode. It's from the first 2 minutes of it, so it's not much of a spoiler. But and the first episode came out like 2 months ago now. But almost all the marketing was centered around Carrie Ann Moss being in it, and I was like, okay, that's cool. I haven't seen her in a movie since the unfortunate Matrix 4, which was hot caca. But I'm excited to see her. I think she's a talented actress, overall. So I was like, okay, cool. And they're really pushing that. And then she gets killed in like the first 3 minutes after like letting this girl harm or intend to kill or manage to actually injure or kill innocent people in a bar. And then after like 3 minutes goes, okay, I'll fight you. And then gets distracted for a second and then gets a dagger thrown at her.
Is that scene?
Yeah.
I've seen it and I didn't understand it at all because I wasn't too sure.
Yeah, that's the opening, and it's like, okay, but why? Like, I don't know. The whole premise of the show seemed to be, what if the Jedi were bad? as a whole, which like I know we've already seen that sort of played with. I mean, the prequels, we saw the whole downfall of the Jedi was their hubris and that kind of stuff. Um, but I wouldn't say that they were explicitly bad people by any means. There were Jedi that went bad. We saw that, but the Order itself was not just this horrible. They weren't like, you know what? Actually, we think that we should be like, just imprisoning planets or selling them off to highest bidders like mercenaries, something like that. But in this, it seems like they wanted to make it out to be like, oh, the Jedi actually are like also bad people, and I'm like, I don't know, it just, It's fine to show that they make mistakes. It's a different thing to paint them as just like the overwhelmingly negative thing.
Right.
I don't know.
Like don't get me wrong, Jedi were not the best of people.
Right.
That obviously we saw even in Tales of the Jedi. Like we saw with Count Dooku, fantastic character. Wish we could still get more with them, especially with Christopher Lee, R.I.P. But Count Dooku's a great character. I loved that he was like his whole thing was if Qui-Gon was still alive, he was going to kind of cause a little revolution. I know he kind of did with the whole Separatist like war, Clone Wars, but like within the Jedi Order to like rebalance out the Jedi Council,
right?
Because he enjoyed Obi-Wan, like he said on numerous times, like Obi-Wan was a great person for Qui-Gon to have, even though was kind of weird that he was still a Padawan at like age 19.
Yeah. That's a little weird.
I saw a post talking about that, like, hey, he was still a Padawan when he was like 20. Like, oh.
Yeah, like, and you would think that like out of all the Jedi that would have been like seen as like okay for it to be like you age up that much as still a Padawan would have been Anakin, just because he started training late. But like Obi-Wan, I forget at this point. I don't know what is canon and isn't, so I'm not gonna pretend to know. Well, this book is whatever. I don't really remember his upbringing, but I'm under the impression that he at least started training very early on, if not like born into the Order kind of deal. So he should have matured very quickly. I also know that he technically didn't have like the most innate potential, because like that's kind of his whole thing, is just like he's not necessarily more powerful than his opponents. He's just smarter.
He can work his way around a blade.
Yeah, like he's proficient with the the defensive techniques, and he's proficient enough with the Force, but he's not gonna like overwhelm. It's not gonna be like Anakin running around just like beheading droids like 15 at a time. No. Yeah, it'd be nice to get some good Star Wars content. We can keep the Star Wars hate train going. Did you see the released footage for Outlaws?
Yeah, that looks bad.
That looks horrible. Like
it don't look too good. The game's probably not going to do too good. If it wasn't coming to Game Pass day one,
it's not.
Think I was gonna. Oh, I thought it was. They said it was.
No, we had this conversation. It's coming to Uplay Plus day one.
Oh, I don't care about that. I'm spending an extra $15 to get Ubisoft games.
Yeah, because when you said that, I was like, "Is that real?" And I went and looked it up, and they're like, "Yeah, the only thing I could find was Uplay Plus." Now it could be out there, and maybe their marketing team just didn't give me what I wanted when I googled that. So if that's wrong, we can come back with. I'll retract that next week. But from what I saw, it is not coming to Game Pass because it's their proprietary thing, and the release. I know technically we're still a little bit out from release, but we're only like a couple months. And the footage I saw was not what the trailer was, which is unheard of, especially from Ubisoft. But to me, like, at what point are we going to apply some rules in like the gaming space of like deceptive marketing? Because like in every other industry, like a lot of the releases we've seen like the last like 7 years, you could have probably won a court case based off what they presented to you in the trailer and what you were delivered on launch day. And it's like, wait, why? Because yeah, Ubisoft does it religiously, and I'm not talking about like obviously every game does like, ooh, this is like a rendered cinematic. It's not in-game footage, whatever. And they put that disclaimer one way or the other. But like, they'll say like in-game footage, and then the game comes out like the lighting is completely different. The texture quality looks different. The animations look clunkier. It's like, so this was a different build that was highly optimized and probably only had this one room to run versus the actual game experience, which is going to be it's loading an entire zone at a time.
Yeah, that's what it's sounding like.
So people going, oh, it's going to be like Starfield, but good. No, one, Starfield was not great. It starts out pretty strong, then flubs in the middle, but I would still rather play that game than Star Wars Outlaws. I have no desire to play that game. And like
No.
you would think that like an outlaw, like smuggler, whatever, criminal Star Wars game would like be easy, right? Like space Grand Theft Auto kind of deal.
You would think.
But
It seems easy to make.
right, like I don't know.
Could have had Darth Maul into it. Had his whole like crime syndicate.
Yep. I want to see Hondo.
That would have been amazing. It's Hondo.
Yeah. That's like, and then the whole thing where like, oh, for that game, if you buy the Ultimate Edition for like $120, you get a mission where you can work for Jabba the Hutt. And I'm like, wouldn't he just be in the game by default if you're making a game about criminals of any variety?
You would think.
I don't know. Like I'd rather see Hondo than Jabba, but I'd be happy to see either.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That that will kind of conclude our hate train going on.
Yes, sir.
But football seems to have been still very popular. Like coming out a couple weeks ago, I think.
Oh, I thought you meant like the sport,
No,
like just football. And I'm like, what happened in football?
no, I meant just normal college football. The
Yeah,
video game.
and the NCAA, but not. Yeah,
That it seems to be doing pretty well. It's what people have wanted in a football game. Surprisingly, it doesn't even still being made by EA. People are enjoying it. Kind of had a talk last week where Jarrett was like, "I'm surprised there haven't been more," and Skippy and I had to tell him, "Yeah, it's because former players sued them, the
right,
NCAA, because they weren't making money using their likeness."
right.
And then we got the 10-year break of not having a college football game.
Yeah, and they came back. It looks good. My only, I haven't played it yet, so my review is very limited. I did come into the knowledge that there isn't a PC version of the game. That to me seems like a fairly big drawback as a studio. It doesn't affect me, obviously, console player here, but it seems kind of weird to see a game launch that's not a platform exclusive to launch without a PC version. That just seems like kind of a rare occurrence now. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be completely off base with that, but I don't know.
No, I feel like it is kind of crazy not to have a PC launch.
Yeah,
Like just in general, like having a console exclusive game because if a console could run it, a PC definitely can run it.
right. That's my thought process.
Like I know there are games on PC that consoles cannot run, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a reason. They're really big. They're really can be really graphically amazing, and there's a lot more internal pieces working together for that PC to run that game. Console,
Right.
I got my little mini fridge sitting on the ground right now. That's it.
Yeah, it's weird because like I don't even think that again this could be wrong as well. Full disclaimer: sometimes we say things and they may not be true. Just for the record, I believe it to be true when I say it, but from what I have seen that like there isn't even like a planned PC release. It's not even like we couldn't get it done at launch. It's coming in 6 months. It just said like, oh, here's PlayStation and an Xbox. Goodbye. And I'm like, oh, I mean, again, it doesn't affect me, so I don't want to get mad about something that literally does not pertain to me in the slightest. And I'm not like mad. It's just, I guess it's more of like an interesting development standpoint to exclude that platform like entirely. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Are there any other like big games like just came out?
Just came out. I think we've hit other than college football, I think we kind of hit like a kind of a dry. Well, Footlock Siege of the Dawn that has come out actually.
Yep.
I haven't played it yet. It's sitting installed on my Xbox though. I haven't played it. Valorant finally has their open beta now on console, or at least
Yeah.
Xbox. I don't know about PlayStation yet, but it is at least available now for everyone to play on Xbox.
Which I'm guessing that'll like fully release probably like September or something.
Probably.
Maybe October, November. Like I'm guessing fall would be my anticipation. I would think that they would want to get it out before holiday season so that way when kids are off on break, they could spend mommy and daddy's money. So
Yeah. But in terms of that, those are like the only real two big games we've had release, I think. At least on console.
yeah, I think you're right. Well, yeah, everything we talk about largely will only pertain to things that we can experience, but unless it's something very notable that's coming out on
PC.
onto PC, yeah, or Switch if it's an exclusive over there that's impressive, but like you'll never hear that story coming from my mouth.
Yeah, I'm looking through the top new games on Xbox, not really seeing all too much that we haven't discussed already. Because obviously First Descendant's on there. We've already talked about First Descendant for a bit. Uh, and when I look at top new games, the remaster of the Star Wars Bounty Hunter when you play as Jango Fett.
Yep.
That looks kind of interesting. I don't know if I want to. I guess it's only $20. That's not bad. I thought it was 30. So 20
Yeah,
bucks
because like
seems a bit doable for that game. I might pick it up.
yeah, it's just
Uh,
like a little graphical bump and performance bump, nothing too crazy. I wish they would just from the ground up rebuild old games, but
we get Age of Mythology a month from 2 days ago, August 27th.
I'm excited about that.
I like tactical strategy games. Fan of Stellaris, but Stellaris kind of gets a bit too crazy once you start getting a little bit big. Things don't always work out the west because there's always revolutions. But the game I'm really excited for, and I hope to God is good, is Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2.
Yeah,
I've been wanting to play a Warhammer game that's not Vermintide. I enjoy Vermintide for what it is, but I don't need to play any more of it. I hope it's good. 2 to 3 online co-op, 6v6 PvP. Interested to see what that is.
yeah, I'm not sure because like I don't know like from like the visuals of the game, I would almost expect it to play in maybe a very loose sense, almost like a Gears game, but I might just be attributing that to the fact that you're playing as like a hulking unit of a person.
That's
Um,
what I was gonna make a comparison to before you even
mm,
said Gears. I'm like, I feel like it's gonna be playing like Gears, but uh, it doesn't look like you'll be playing as like the enemy, like the orcs or whatever the Space Marines fight. It looks like
mm,
you'll just be red versus blue because
naturally.
there's a screenshot. Uh, I don't know. I think this game has a lot of potential. I know it has a good amount of hype behind it. So I want Focus Entertainment and Saber Interactive to really make sure that it's well put together because
Yeah.
Warhammer doesn't really have a lot on Xbox. Or it's not really Warhammer's not really known for their video games. They're more known for their people going into debt to buy minifigs.
Yeah, or print them yourself. Those are your two options: go into debt or make it yourself.
Which you got to go into debt to buy a 3D printer.
Yeah, because
And if you
ideally you'd have a resin printer.
and if you want them done in a timely manner, because 3D printing, believe it or not, it's not fast.
Not even a
It
little bit.
it takes so long. Like my dad 3D prints, and he'll upload something to like a little USB, plug the USB into his printer, and be like, "All right, in 40 hours, I'll go check this out." And I'm like, "Jesus Christ, dude, 40 hours."
And doesn't he have like more than one setup for it so he can print multiple pieces to like larger projects?
Yeah, he has like a big one, and then he has like a smaller one.
Hmm,
So
that
obviously, the
makes
big
sense.
things Big Thing obviously makes a lot bigger pieces for what he wants to do. He generally does it for cosplay stuff. Cosplays as a Mandalorian, which
Naturally.
is pretty awesome. But moving past that, another game that's coming out. I kind of want to buy. I kind of want to buy all the games we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But Dragon Ball Sparking Zero.
Yep.
I
was gonna
wanna.
bring that up.
I wanna. I don't even care about the story. I just wanna. I hope Coleman gets the game, and I want to play. I want to play as. I want to do some cinematic fights with him. I don't even care. Like, I don't even gonna care about the story. It's Dragon Ball. Story's the story. It's with the fights. It's the fights that you see, that you want to see.
And it's like probably the second most visually appealing Dragon Ball game we've ever seen overall. The only thing I would say that is probably will continue to top for me will be Fighters, just because due to the fixed camera, they can accurately make the camera or the character perspectives look right. Because for those unfamiliar, technically Dragon Ball's drawn in like a very particular style, which would be you have to draw them from certain angles, and the eyes are really the problem with certain angles. So with a free motion camera, you kind of have to lose some of that to be able to retain them not looking like monsters. But the fixed perspective, you can make them look like a monster, but from where your camera would be, it looks completely normal. But it looks really good. And it's nice because this will be the first time, at least that I can think of, that a Dragon Ball game will launch and Super will not be the DLC. The only DLC stuff that I know about is Superhero, which is fine because that's the most recent thing, and I've always said that's fine. If like the last thing wasn't in there, fine. But like, don't be treating like Battle of Gods like it's new, and that movie's old now, and that makes me feel old.
Super has been done since like 2017, dog.
I know.
It's no longer a DLC. It's been 7 years, please.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. It looks cool. Yeah, we'll see. I hope they bring back some of the other Budokai features. Like they bring back mid-match transformations, which is awesome. Me and Raging Blast 2 and Budokai obviously loved those. I hope they bring back the failed fusions. That was a cool mechanic.
Also, you're like either like the really skinny or really fat one.
Yeah, if you mess up the button inputs, you could end up as one or the other. It would also be cool if we get a little bit of like a what if like section of the roster with some like you'd have like the Goku Mr. Satan fusion that didn't happen, but you could have, you could add it there and I'd be fine with seeing that. But yeah, I think it'll be cool. Some people were complaining that there's just, like boasting about this big of a roster means there's going to be like clone fighters. And I'm like, right, but the whole essence of this game, it's not to be taken as like a competitively viable fighting game. It's literally just to say, I'm going to play as Krillin and I can beat you up even if you're grade 8 Vegeta. Like,
yes.
Like that's why we're here. Big characters, big fights, big impacts, the energy clashes. And they did show that they're bringing back the grapple clashes, which is cool. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. I played Xenoverse 2 for a while, or I guess most people call it Xenoverse 1.5.
Yep.
I'm like, I bought the pack for MUI Goku, and you're like, oh, that's not that good. Now, if this was Fighters and you bought that, I would say you have a chance at being literally MUI.
Yeah.
And there's a content creator that I occasionally watch, and he did raid videos, and the one was UI Goku or Ultra Instinct. If I say UI, it means Ultra Instinct. And he's playing as Golden Frieza, and he's trying to attack, and motherfucker just sidesteps and like key blast him in the back of the head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome. Too bad I suck at 2D fighters, so I would never good at Mortal Kombat, Fighters, Street Fighter. Never good at them.
Well, no one's good at Street Fighter. Here's the for Street Fighter in particular. Here's how it goes. You're either great at the game or you're like every other person in the world. Because like the amount of people that are actually good at that game feels very small. But like the large portion of that community doesn't get how to play their own game, but they will boast about how it is the best fighting game on the planet, X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, but you're bad at it. Like,
oh, I guess there's going back to another new game. The New World Aeternum. I think that's how you say that.
I have no clue what you're talking about here.
It's like uh it's a thrilling action RPG set on the supernatural island of Aeternum. Still don't know if I'm saying that correct. As a shipwreck explorer who washes ashore on the mysterious island, forge your destiny on adventure filled with danger and opportunity. Yada yada yada. Play your way, play solo or cross-platform. Team up with others, could be head-to-head, variety of PvP, customize look, skill, and abilities. So it seems like it's an MMO, just from reading. And when I go over to player modes, it says online multiplayer 2 to 1,000.
Actually, I think that might be a couch co-op game.
It says online co-op 2 to 10.
Yeah, see, so local is 2 to 1,000.
Yeah, you got 1,000 of your buddies all trying to. You imagine you got like less than 1 pixel to see your character on a TV screen.
Hey, that's how we used to do it back in the day. I mean, not that bad, but you know.
You're gonna need to like rent out a drive-in theater and only play at night to
God, that would be cool.
maybe see your character.
Actually, no. Cut that part out of the podcast. We might have an idea. But
Let's go back to COVID times where you could rent out a drive-in and play Mario Kart, or movie theaters and play Mario Kart. Can you still do that?
yeah, you just have to go through like their website.
I
I looked into it. It's not bad.
saw you could still rent them, but I thought it was more you could have a private viewing for like a movie.
Depending on the theater, obviously, like the ones that I've looked at, some of them will do both, some of them do neither, some only do one or the other. I want to say AMC, like you can rent out like an entire theater, and it's only like $100-something. And I'm like, well, that's not bad. Like, I don't think you can fill the theater, but I think you get like a large portion of it to yourself. And we wouldn't be able to fill a theater anyway, but you know, it would be kind of cool. But yeah, it's a cool novelty to be like, man, could you imagine playing like, I want to play like Halo split screen in a movie theater.
Oh, you see that Elite? He's like 5 stories away up in this third building.
Get him.
But yeah, I think we're going to wrap up episode 27. Hit half a year last week.
Yeah, I was going for it.
Yeah, unfortunately, you were. But we're here with 27.
Yep.
We just finished 27. This is the end. See you next week, everyone.